Kofi Kingston came out for the face-to-face segment. He was wearing a New Day shirt, and he talked about Xavier Woods screaming in pain last week from the Hell in a Cell and how he couldn't help Woods, and that Woods has always had his back, and Woods doesn't get enough respect, and he should after the fight he brought to Bobby Lashley. He said that Lashley won fair and square, but what they did after the match was unconscionable, and Lashley is going to pay at Money in the Bank. MVP comes out with the women, noting that Bobby Lashley is on vacation. So we had no Randy Orton tonight, and we had no Bobby Lashley. And no Sheamus as well, as some of the notable absences on Monday's show. They had a very good back and forth here. MVP says he enjoyed every second of what they did to Woods. And what Lashley does to Kingston is going to make what Lesnar did look like child's play. Kingston rebuttals and says that Lashley is getting soft. He's more beatable than ever. And they yell about who deserves it more. Kingston says, when I was champion, I traveled to Ghana. I showed kids that anything is possible. And then I flew back to TV to defend my title. Your champion is on vacation. He's distracted. And when you take your eyes off the prize, you lose that prize. MVP says the reason you went with the belt to Ghana was to feed your ego. And Kingston says Xavier Woods will be back next week. MVP, you've been milking your knee injury. And MVP says, I would whoop your ass, but I'm not cleared. And Kingston goes to the floor, trouble in paradise, and says, now you're hurt. I thought these two had a great segment together.
This was fantastic. I think one of the best segments on Raw, if we're talking strictly talking between two people, one of the best promo segments on Raw in a very long time, maybe even one of the best in the WWE this year, where most of that I feel like has taken place on SmackDown. Raw finally had one here in MVP and Kofi Kingston. It was Kofi to me at the character's very best, his most fired up, his most heroic. It felt like a really natural back and forth, If there was any scripting here, it felt minimal or at the very least, very well executed. So I especially love that Kofi and MVP, but Kofi to me had excellent substance and logic behind the trash talk. He was at first using the time to put over Woods being overlooked, which was just a great way of, I think, cementing that match last week. Because I had forgotten about it for the most part until he mentioned it. But then, talking about, the layers of this unbeatable Lashley getting stripped, citing examples about why he feels that way, talks about, how great he was as a champion. This was his pitch to the audience to remind us why we should be cheering for him, why we want to see him as WWE champion. And then finally calling bullshit on MVP's knee injury, which, I had almost completely forgotten about by this point. All right, you're right. The guy should be healed by now. And then laid the guy out at the end with physicality. So he came out of this looking so cool, so heroic, and just a great baby face. And of course, required a great villain like MVP to drag that out of him.
Yeah, this was a very good talking segment compared when you're looking at WWE segments. You had the two interrupting. It felt personal. It felt like a conflict that these two were escalating and pulling out of one another. And you had a deeper interest, I think, in the match after this. So Kofi was great. MVP was very strong here. And here was a week where they did not have Bobby Lashley, and they did a great job hyping up this match.
Oh, now you want to see Lashley's reaction to this. Yeah, he's not going to be happy on vacation.
Yeah, maybe he's going to cut that vacation short.
Mm-hmm.
Time to come home.